It has been months since Edward Snowden, the former NSA contractor, revealed a collection of information on hundreds of millions of Americans by the NSA. Months have gone by, and the fallout for the NSA could be just beginning, thanks to what appears to be a growing push for restoring American liberty. The first step toward truth is to be informed. Well, since Edward Snowden revealed the collection of American phone, email records, and conversations, there's been a debate throughout the country. Debate in the media, debate among politicians, and the public. How much is too much? Right now, members of Congress are considering 11 legislative measures that would, on some level, rein in the National Security Agency. The proposals range from entirely defunding the NSA to repealing or rolling back the bills that the NSA claims gives them the power to spy on Americans who have committed no crime. Remember, the NSA has claimed that the PRISM program is authorized by the FISA and the Patriot Acts. Representative James Sensenbrenner, the author of the Patriot Act, is one of those who wants the NSA brought into line. Sensenbrenner says that the way the NSA has interpreted the Patriot Act was never envisioned when it was passed. But what Sensenbrenner now claims is necessary is for the NSA to be blocked from spying on Americans and accessing phone and email records without a warrant and without some legal justification. Congressman Sensenbrenner and the rest of Congress had their chance to move exactly that kind of control forward. The Republican congressman from Michigan, Justin Amash, authored an amendment to the Defense Appropriations Bill just weeks ago. It was called the Liberty Amendment and attempted to defund the NSA and ban it from collecting anonymous telephone and email records of Americans who are not under investigation for any crime. Amash argues that the NSA is violating the Fourth Amendment, which guards against unreasonable searches and seizures. Both Republicans and Democrats got behind the Amash Amendment, but others did not, and the amendment failed by a narrow margin of 217 to 205. Such a narrow margin that it makes you wonder, will Congressman Amash make this move for the amendment again? So you might ask, why didn't more members of Congress get behind this amendment? Well, one of those who did not is Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann. She stood against the amendment, saying, quote, "We need to win the war on terror and defeat the goals and the aims of the Islamic Jihad. And for that reason, I will be voting no on Representative Amash's amendment." Amash argues that the NSA cannot legally seize a company such as Verizon's phone records because it violates an individual's privacy rights. But Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann says that's not true because in this case there's no expectation of privacy. She says technically the government is requesting to see a business's internal records, which is what the NSA does. Quote, "Individuals do not own the records. The records do not belong to the individual, but the phone company itself. There's no Fourth Amendment expectation of privacy on the right to the business records exception." But that point is debatable. She says the government, for instance in the case of the IRS, might be asking to see Verizon's financials, but that isn't the case here. In this case, government is the NSA demanding access to private information. Despite what Congresswoman Bachmann says, that information is not Verizon's alone. It is information that is gathered under a contract agreement with the customer. And nothing in the Terms of Service Agreement explicitly states that government agencies will be reviewing that personal information. It also doesn't say they'll be collecting and keeping that information. Interesting that Congresswoman Bachmann, who believes that Obamacare is a huge intrusion into the private lives of Americans, does not believe that Verizon customers have a right to privacy. But what you need to know actually goes back to what Congressman Sensenbrenner said about the Patriot Act. Remember I told you that he claims he had no idea the Patriot Act would be used in this way by the NSA. Well, that is the lesson that needs to come from all this. The Patriot Act was rushed into law just after September 11, 2001, as Congress threw its hands in the air and decided that safety was more important than liberty. Congress took a law that allowed the Constitution to be trampled, and they handed a blank check to government agencies. 12 years later, we're surprised that the feds are now abusing that power. Some people say that once you give government a power, they will never give it back. And that's true. But that doesn't mean that power can't be taken back. That is the beauty of a constitutional republic. Well, now that you've been informed, it's time to get engaged. Go right now to benswann.com. There you're going to find this story where you can view it again, as well as the text of the story and the sources that we have used. Also, if you would like to help us create more episodes just like this one, you can do so by clicking on the Contribute tab on the right-hand side of the screen. benswann.com. Get engaged right now.